The second way Jesus is better. Jesus is better than presumptuously controlling our own lives. And many will not follow Jesus simply because they want to be their own God, calling all the shots, following the myriad desires of the flesh, the list of which is in Galatians 5:19-21. They want to pursue freedom at any cost and believing their best life is now. Really? Yet Scripture calls us to something different, to walk humbly in step with God. And Paul says in Philippians 3:16, "Nevertheless, whereto we have already attained, let us walk by the same rule, let us mind the same thing." My modern version reads, "Only let us live up to what we have already attained." So in other words, Paul urges us not to run ahead of God, but to live faithfully at the level of grace and revelation we've already received. And Psalm 1:1-3 speaks of walking in step with God and not standing in the path of sinners. Scripture gives us countless examples. Moses forsook the temporal pleasures of Egypt to obey God in Hebrews 11:24-26. Enoch walked with God and was not, for God took him, Genesis 5:24. Noah stayed true to the Lord, while those around him perished in their evil, Genesis 6:9. And from the Psalms and Proverbs, we learn the same truth. The wicked may seem to prosper for a time, but their end is destruction. The presumptuous make plans apart from God. Listen to James 4:13. It says, "Now listen, you who say today or tomorrow we will go to this or that city, spend a year there, carry on business, and make money." And the passage goes on to say, "Why, you do not even know what will happen tomorrow. What is your life? You are a mist that appears for a little while and then vanishes. Instead, you ought to say, if it is the Lord's will, we will live and do this or that. As it is, you boast in your arrogant schemes. All such boasting is evil. If anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is sin for them." And remember, the psalmist said, "I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked, until I went into the sanctuary of God. Then understood I their end." And that's from Psalm 73:3-17. Friends, we must not envy the world's freedom or success. God's wisdom calls us to obedience and surrender, not self-rule. And number 3, Jesus is better than any and all worldly leaders. Let's face it, in the church and in the world, we seem prone to follow human leaders and attach words like chosen or anointed or blessed by God. We apply these terms to them, but often without discernment. And Scripture warns us to test every spirit, 1 John 4:1-2. And we simply need to remember that celebrity pastors, politicians, musicians are not to be idolized. In fact, celebrity and Christian are terms that do not belong together. No one is a celebrity in God's economy but Jesus alone, and only He gets the ultimate praise and glory. As Psalm 115:1 declares, "Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory, for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. And Philippians 3:17 reads, Brethren, be followers together of me, and mark them which walk so as ye have us for an example. And in my modern translation, it reads, join together in following my example, brothers and sisters, and just as you have us as a model, keep your eyes on those who live as we do. So Paul here recommends emulating those who humbly follow Christ, those who live faithfully, quietly serving the Lord, often away from the spotlight. Think of Epaphroditus, Philippians 2:25-30, who risked his life for the gospel and was never motivated by applause. These are the true examples to follow. Humble servants who serve the Lord through suffering, but have not forsaken Jesus. And number 4, Jesus is better than carnal pleasure. And Paul now turns to those who break his heart. These are believers who have drifted towards sensual living, worldly indulgence, and the pleasures of the flesh. And Paul says in Philippians 3:18, For many walk, of whom I have told you often, and now tell you even weeping, that they are the enemies of the cross of Christ. Verse 19 goes on to be very specific here. It says, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. So Paul is not angry, he is sorrowful. He weeps because those who once claimed Christ have chosen carnal pleasure, such as gluttony, Proverbs 23:20-21, pride, Proverbs 16:18, self-exaltation, Isaiah 14:13-15, lust, 1 Thessalonians 4:3-5, and every form of self-indulgence. Their minds are set on earthly things, Colossians 3:2. So the Greek conveys the idea of fixation, an obsession with what is fleeting. But Jesus offers us what is eternal. The pleasures of sin are temporary, Hebrews 11:25. However, the joy of knowing Christ is everlasting, Psalm 16:11.